we're going to build a simple web page inside of Adobe Dreamweaver. So before we get started, let's just go ahead and let's take a look at a sample of what we're going to make. So I've already made it. We're going to make a website for a client, and it's called Cool Drives. And we're just going to make a cool place to drive a vehicle. In this case, I'm using our example, Valley of the Gods. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to make this simple web page using Adobe Dreamweaver. So before you do this, you should definitely run through the coding projects inside of Khan Academy, because that'll really help you understand some of the things we're doing. So this is a practical application of the skills you practice there. Furthermore, the question is it important to learn Dreamweaver for web development today? Now, things have changed over the years, and now in 2024, Dreamweaver itself might not be one of the best tools to use. In fact, most of us use online builders, but all of the tools are the same. You really need to understand the box model, layout, how things move. So things you do in Dreamweaver are essentially the same things you do in any other online tool. So Dreamweaver is considered a what you see is what you get tool, and I'm going to show you kind of how that works here in a second. So first things first, let's start talking about what we are making. So on my desktop here, I have a rough layout. And I can zoom in a little. This gives me an idea of the different sections we're going to use. So we're going to use HTML sections to build this website. We're going to do the header, we're going to do the main section, and we're going to do the footer. Inside the header, you'll notice we're going to have a logo, we're going to have a nav bar. Inside the main, we're going to have a hero image. We're going to put title over it. We're also going to have a location information section where we have an article and an aside. And then in the footer, we're going to put some copyright information. So let's go ahead and let's get this rolling. So first things first, inside of Dreamweaver, when you open it up, you're going to be introduced to this interface. So first things first, we need to create a new site. So in the middle of my screen, it says create new. You can also go to site, new site, and you'll get the same place. So let's go ahead and let's create our new site. So really, before I even start creating a site, I like to go and set up my folder structure. So I'm going to run, and on my desktop, I'm going to make a new folder. And I'm going to call it website. You guys can decide where you put yours. You can put it in your documents. You can put it wherever you save it. But inside this folder, and let me double click it, I'm going to put in a folder for CSS. And that's where I would put all my style sheets. I'm also going to make a folder for images. So this is going to become my home base for all my files. So before I even get started here with the new stuff, I'm going to get all my files in here. So before I even make a new document, we're going to go ahead and we're going to define a new site. So go to Site, New Site, and right here we're going to call this Website Local Site Folder. I'm going to push it to my desktop. And to that folder I made right here, Website. And I'm going to hit choose. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And when I do that, you'll notice over here on my files panel, it has my site, it has those two folders I made, and all my files are now going to be here. So when I do relative links, they're all going to the right place. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. And let's just create a new page. We're going to go with HTML, and I'm going to call mine Valley of the Gods. You guys can pick whatever location you want, but I'm going to go ahead and give mine a title. And I'm going to hit create. So now that we are in here, we have a few cleanup items to do on Dreamweaver. You notice I've never run it before, so I'm going to get all these little help windows. So right now, workspaces. I am currently in standard workspace. I like standard because it gives us the split screen view, it gives us our code view, it gives us our live view here. But there are a couple things that I like to change. First, I like to add what's called the properties bar. So go to Window, Properties, and this properties bar, I like it on the bottom down here. This is where it used to be in the old version of Dreamweaver. So once you have that set, now it's time to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to do the background color for our web page. So some things here. Here is our web page. If we want to do background color, we can go to File, Page Properties. And right here, we have some of our different settings. So first things first, we can set our default fonts in here. I'm not going to set anything there, but we can go ahead and set our background color. And the color I'm going to use, this is the one that goes with our thing. It's F7F3E8. And go ahead and hit enter. And that is going to be my background color. Hit apply. You'll notice it's just a really light tan color. And I'm going to hit OK. So we've already added, if you notice in code view, it added a style right here inside of the document. Now we're going to push all these styles to an actual style sheet, and we'll do that here in a second. I'm not going to do that quite yet. So first things first, background color. Let's go ahead and let's insert something. So we're going to insert the header. So over here, you'll notice we have a panel called Insert, and inside you have your layout. So we're going to go ahead and hit Header. And when we do that, inside our body, it's going to put in our new header, and it says content for new header tag goes here. And first things first, let's go ahead and let's start styling our header. So if you look at my example, I want my header to kind of go across the page. I'm going to have it centered. So let's go ahead and let's get it sized and centered correctly. So to do CSS, we're going to go to our CSS designer, and let me teach you how this works. So this first one, style, this is our internal style. Whoops, click back on there. I'm going to add a new source, and we're going to create a new CSS file. It's going to be a link. We are going to put it in our CSS folder. We're going to call it styles.css, and we're going to hit save. Now, you saw that message. It said it's going to be relative till we save it, so we should go ahead and save our document too. So let's go File, Save As, and our file, we're going to name it index.html and hit save. And now you notice our style sheet is there. We have our header. We'll do the previews here in a minute. Up here on our CSS designer, you'll notice I have both styles internal and style sheet. On the internal, I have the body. On the style sheet, I have everything else. We can go ahead and move our body to my style sheet there. And there is my background color. Go ahead, file, we can hit save all. Don't know why it's not showing yet, but we'll figure that out as we go. So let's go ahead and let's start building styles for our header. So first things first, if your header is selected, go ahead and hit selectors, and you'll notice we can get rid of the word body. We're going to style our header. Our header here, we are going to add some different properties down here. So if you uncheck Show Set, it'll show you all your different properties. So we have our layout, our text, our borders, our background, and then we can just add extra. In this case, we're going to work in our layout. First thing we're going to define is our width. So the width of our site is going to be 1200 pixels. We're going to give it a height probably of 120. And we need to go ahead and center this item. Now, to center items inside of HTML, what you're going to do is you're going to set your margin after you have a width to auto. So if I click on the pixel setting and say auto, it's going to start centering my tag here. And last thing, we're going to click on the background property, and we're going to give it a color. In this case, I don't have a specific color, so pick a cool blue that you like. And when you're ready, go ahead and hit enter. And you'll notice there is our header. So I'm going to hit File, Save All, and we're going to go ahead and preview this. Now, previewing, there are two different ways to preview. Inside of Dreamweaver, we have two views. We have a live view and we have a design view. Live view mimics a website, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Design view is the old style way we used to work in here, and it definitely works, but sometimes things just don't look right either. So neither one of these are perfect. The best way to preview items is to preview them in your browser. Now, to do that, we need to set some preferences. So you can go to Edit, Preferences on a PC. On a Mac, I'm going to go to Dreamweaver and Settings. And once we're in here, we are going to update. I don't see it. File types, editors, nope. I don't see what I'm looking for. Let me hit close. So we have our real-time previews here. Okay, well, I'm going to hit edit list and see what my choices are. Inside of here, you guys can have different browsers to preview it. You can also set your primary browser and your secondary browser. For me, I'm going to choose Safari. If I tell it to be, I could tell Chrome to be my second, and it would be Command F12. Safari is Option F12. Yours is going to be just F12. So make sure you choose Microsoft Edge and F12. I'm going to go ahead, hit Apply. Oh, close. There we go. So, Option F12. Nope, wrong one for me. Didn't work, but I'm going to go ahead and just click here. Preview in Safari. And there we go. There's my Valley of the Gods webpage. Ready to go. You guys can see it looks pretty good. A couple small things we need to change. You notice there is this extra space up here, and I'm going to show you how to kill some extra space. So we're going to put in what's called a global reset. So to put in a global reset, we're going to add a new selector, and I want you just to put the asterisk. And inside the asterisk, we're going to set the margin to 0, and we're going to roll here to padding, use shorthand, and set that to 0 as well. And what this does is this overrides any and all browser settings that put in different amounts. So you'll notice for headings and stuff, there are always some system settings. That'll help override it. Let's go ahead, let's save all. And if I jump back to Safari, you'll see, notice it's already scooted up because this is actually a live preview. It keeps updating here in Safari. So we're looking pretty good with the header. Let's go ahead and let's get the rest of our content in the header. So I'm going to go back to split view. I think this is the easiest way to work because I can go through the live view up here and I can use a code view. Inside of our header, we're going to go ahead and we are going to insert a div. So right before content for a new header, I'll click there. I'll go to insert. We're going to put in a div tag, add insertion point. We're going to give it a class. The class is logo. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And there is our div with the class of logo. Now, we're going to insert an image into this div. Now, first things first, you're going to go to your website and you're going to grab your images. So in my case, I have a Cool Drives logo we're going to use. So what I need to do with this logo is I need to put this logo inside my my image folder in my website. So all your items need to live inside that folder. So with that logo there, I can go ahead and I can insert an image. So again, right here inside of logo, I'm going to say insert image, and I'm going to go to the cool logo. I'm going to hit open, and there is my Cool Drives logo. You'll notice it is way too big, so we will need to size this down, and this is where that properties panel comes into place. So down here on the properties panel, this is my logo. I can go ahead and change the width. I can say 200. I think 200 looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe 240. Maybe even 300. Let's see. 300 looks even better. So there we go. We can also add in an alt tag. So I could say Cool Drives logo. And we can even give it a title. Cool Drives logo, and I'll show you where the titles come in. So there we go. Let's go ahead and let's save all and let's preview this again. So I can just jump right over to my browser. And there you go. There's my Cool Drives logo on side of my background. So now a few more small things. We're going to go ahead and we are going to add our navigation. So our navigation is going to go next to our logo. So we can select that content for class logo. And let's go ahead and let's insert the nav tag. Let's see, do they have it? Navigation, there we go. Add insertion point. We don't need to give it a class because this is going to be inside of the header. So go ahead and hit OK. And inside of the nav tag, we're going to go ahead and I want you to insert an unordered list. And then let's do one list item. So click list item. So you'll notice inside here, you see how we have our single list item. Whoops. They weren't quite done. So I undid twice and let's do it again. Let's do a list item and then we're going to make it an unordered list. So see how it's stacked correctly. I got the UL and then the LIs inside. And now let's select this. And we're going to make our four pages. So we have a home. We have about us. We have cool drives. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. And we have contact. So those are going to be our 4 pages. And what we're going to do, we are going to style this list to make an actual menu. So let's go ahead and let's work on styling this list. So first things first, I'm going to click the UL tag here. We can also use what's called the DOM here to select which tag. So if I select the UL tag here, we're going to add some CSS to it. So first things first, make sure we are putting it on our style sheet. Our selector is going to be, we can do nav UL. Oh, that should not be in that div. I've kind of messed up there. We can fix that though. So nav UL. Let's go ahead and let's modify our list type. So if we click on text and scroll down a little bit, here is our list style type, and we're going to say none. And when I say none, notice it gets rid of the bullets. Now, let's go ahead and let's fix our item here. I want you to notice I have accidentally put my nav inside of that logo, and that is not what I wanted. I want the logo here and the nav here. That way I can float items. So let's go ahead and let's fix my mistake there. What you're going to do with your nav selected is we are going to move it down after that div. And when I move it down after that div, notice I got div with the image and then the nav is separate. So that was my mistake. Make sure you fix that. We got to get things done correctly. And now we can go back and we can finish styling our list. So we need to make this look like buttons. So we've done the UL, we've gotten rid of the bullets. Now we need to make these individual items, these individual list items, float next to one another. So go ahead and let's grab a list item here and let's add a new selector. And nav UL LI, that's fine. And in this one, we need to tell these items to display, and we can say inline block. And when we say inline block, that changes how they look, so they roll up next to each other. And now we can start making our actual links and our buttons. So to make our actual links and buttons, we are going to take the word home, double click it, and we're going to add a link. And the link we're going to do, just hit a number sign for right now. And for each one of these, I want you to give them a link just to a number sign. And that's just a placeholder for now, because I want them to be links. I'm not so worried about linking to pages. One more, contact. All right, so let's finish this up and let's finish making these buttons and finish this part of the video up. So now, for each one of these, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the A tag, and we're going to add a style for the A tag here. So we're going to go to our selectors, and I want this to be nav ULLIA because I want to make sure I'm targeting the correct links inside of the nav. Hit enter. So on this one, to make buttons, first things first, we have to give them a background color. So let's go ahead and let's give them a background color of a transparent white. So in here, we're going to choose white. Now down here, we got to choose RGBA. That A means alpha opacity. So choose that and you'll notice your number's a little bit different. And now we can move the slider down. And I think 60% is a good background color. Let's hit enter. So now you'll notice our buttons have a nice color background to them. We are going to set, let's go back up to layout. We are going to do some padding. For padding, we can link them together. And let's go ahead and let's just roll them up. So I'm thinking probably about 12 for padding looks good. Let's do 12. There we go. So now notice they're starting to look like good buttons. We'll get them to the right position here in a second, but right now they're looking pretty good. After we do the padding, some other things we need to modify. We need to choose some text styles. So my font family for this one, I think I'd like to do the Gotham. So there, we've changed the text style. I think the size is okay, but I don't want them to underline. So for text decoration, I'm going to say none. And then for the color, font color, I want to choose that background color. So I can grab my eyedropper, roll over. Oops, for me, I have to allow it. Let's try it again. There we go. Yep, I got it. So there we go. And finally, we're going to put some space between the buttons. So go back up to layout for space. We're just going to give them a margin and just do a margin on the right. And you can space it out to what you think looks good. And last but not least, let's go to border. And I want to set a radius. I like the rounded edges. So go ahead and hit the link so they're all linked. And give it a border. So now you notice we have some cool looking pill buttons is what we call them. And now let's go ahead and let's work on getting things where they belong. So where it says content for new header tag goes here, we can actually delete that line. We're not using that. Whoops, delete that line. Backspace. And now let's go ahead and let's finish styling this up. So for the Cool Drives logo, I need to move that down and over. And for the nav bar, I need to move this over here. So the easiest way to do this, since they're both inside of the same tag, is I can float both items. So let's go back and let's work on floating our logo. So for our logo, I can click over here in the DOM, div.logo. And let's go ahead and let's add one new selector, .logo. And I like to put things in order, so I'm going to put it right before my list. And let's go ahead and under layout, scroll down a little. We are going to float him to the left. You'll notice things are going to start moving already. We are going to give him a margin on the top. So we're going to kind of center him in our item. I'm also going to give him a left margin. There we go. I think he looks pretty good. And then we're going to go to our nav, and we're going to create one more float for the nav tag itself. So go ahead and hit a selector, and I just want it to say nav, because we're only going to do one. And for the nav, we're going to go ahead and again float him to the left, and then we can give him a margin on the top, bring him down, and we can give him a margin on the left. There we go. And let's go ahead and let's file, save all, and let's go check our preview. And there you go. You'll notice we have a great looking header. And finally, I want to make these hover. So when we roll over these, we know that these are buttons. So we can add a pseudo class to the link. And also we want to add some titles to these links. And the title shows up, if you notice when I hold my mouse over Cool Drives, here is a title. So let's do this last little bit. So first thing, we want to make a new style, basically the same style, but we're going to make it a pseudo class. I'm going to go ahead, double click, I'm going to copy that, and let's hit a new selector. I'm going to paste it, and then we'll put a colon and hover. And if you remember from the CSS lessons, this is a pseudo style. And what we're going to do on this hover is we are going to modify the background. So the background, we are going to make it the transparent white, but this time I'm going to turn it to 0.9 for the alpha. So that way it turns nice and bright. So let's go ahead and let's save all. Let's jump back over to our preview here, and notice when I roll over, see how that looks correct. The other item I want to do is I want to add a title to each one of these buttons. So if I click on the button, we can go to the title and I can say home. Click on the next one. We can give it a title of About Us. Click on the next one. Whoops, come on. Cool Drives. And click on the last one. The last one would be Contact. And go ahead and save all. And then jump over to your preview. And now notice, when I roll over, everything looks good. And if I hold my mouse there, the title shows up. So that way I'm making this look good. And for SEO, search engine optimization, some of these things would work better. So this is the header. I know it took a while. It's kind of slow, but you got to work through, got to think about it. When you come back, we're going to work on building that main section. So welcome back. So we're going to keep moving forward with our website design. Where we left it off, we finished the header, we did the logo and the nav. So in your Dreamweaver, you should have all of this ready to go. And here's our split view, as well as if I go and check my preview here, you can see I have my nice header, we have a logo, everything's up and running. So now it's time to start working on our main content. And we're going to have two sections, and inside each section we're going to do stuff. So let's go ahead and let's dive right in and let's add some main content. So back in Dreamweaver, we're going to click, and we can click just after, or you can click on your header, and let's go ahead and let's try inserting something new here. So we are going to insert main, and notice we get an option here. I can insert main before, well that's not what I want. I can insert it after, I can wrap it around the header, or I can nest it inside. In this case, we're going to choose after. And there is my content for main. Now, where to start with this? I think first things first, let's just go ahead and let's get it positioned properly. So the width of our site is 1200 pixels. So we are going to make a new style sheet with a new selector, and we're just going to call it main. And the width of main, we're going to go ahead and click pixels, is going to be 1200 pixels. That way it matches everything else. We're going to go ahead and center it. So in this case, we're going to say auto. And let's go ahead and let's give it a background color. The background color for this one, we're going to go ahead and just use white. We can switch it back over to a hex code, hit enter. So we have our main content area. Now we can start adding our section. So let's go ahead and let's do our section with the ID of hero. So remember, with an ID, we can only have one of it at a time. So let's go ahead and click main, insert, let's choose section. And this time we are going to nest it. And so there is our new section inside of main. Now that we have our section defined, we're going to jump over to Photoshop and we're going to get the hero image ready. So let's jump on over to Photoshop. And you'll notice I have two images ready to go. I have this one from Unsplash, which is a good valley view. And then a little later, we're going to make one of this one, which again is another image from Unsplash. So to make this valley view, I need to crop this to the proper dimensions. So I know our site is 1200 pixels wide, and I'm going to make this 400 pixels tall. So I'm going to go ahead and hit crop. And I'm going to set it for width height resolution, 1200 by 400. And then I'm going to go ahead and get it structured where I want it. So I want a lot of sky and I want a good amount of everything else. That looks good. When I double click, you're going to notice the image gets significantly smaller because I just threw out a ton of pixels. That's okay because this is meant for the web. So now let's go ahead. Let's export as, and I am going to go ahead and choose my format. This is not a PNG. There's no transparency. GIF, it's more for logos and stuff. So JPEG would be the appropriate one. I'm going to go ahead and hit export. And then I have to choose where I'm saving it. In this case, we're going to go to my desktop, website, images, and I'm going to call it hero image. I already had an example one in there, but let me just click it and I'm going to hit save. I'm going to replace it. So now my image is in there and we're going to jump back to Dreamweaver and we are going to go ahead and we are going to place this image in the background of our section. So our section, we need to go ahead and give it an ID. So I want you to click your section and down here where it says ID, I want you to type in hero and hit enter. So on our properties panel right here, the ID, I hit hero. So this is now the hero section. And let's go and let's make some CSS for our hero section. So we're going to go in here, selectors, new. There's my hero. For my hero, let's go to the background. And I want to go ahead and set a URL. Images, hero image, there we go. So my hero image is in there. You can barely see it. So let's go ahead and let's get that height. So we made the height, I guess we can tell the width to be 1200. And we can tell the height to be 400. And there we go. There's our beautiful website with the hero image. We can go to our live preview. Notice there it is. It is starting to look really nice. Now our next job, we're going to go ahead. We're going to put an H2 and a tagline in there. So let's go ahead and get those tags inside there. So with our section selected, our hero section, let's go ahead and let's insert, and we're going to put in an H2 heading. To change this to H2, click the insert button, and we want to go ahead and nest it inside. So for this H2 tag, we can just call it, you know, like famous, and I don't know if it's really a famous drive, but famous Utah drives. And we are going to go ahead and after this one, we're going to put a tagline using paragraph with the class of tagline. So let's go ahead and let's insert a paragraph. And for the paragraph, we're just going to put something like a slow drive through Sandstone Buttes. The rest of these items, the content for the section, we can get rid of this content. We're not using that. So now I have my H2 and my paragraph, and now we can start styling those as well. So for my H2, I'm gonna go ahead and click it, CSS Designer, make sure I have the styles, add, there's my hero H2, and now I can go ahead and set my text. So for this one, I'm gonna run with using the Gotham for the headers. We can center our text. I could possibly make it a little bit bigger. We can set it to pixels and kind of scroll up, maybe about that size. Maybe for our paragraph, let's make a new style there. For our paragraph, we are going to change this and we will use the Baskerville. Why not? That looks nice. We are going to give it a variant, a style of italic, and maybe we'll center that as well. And we'll play with the sizing a little bit. Okay, I like that. Looking pretty good. Now, some things we can change here. Let me pull that down a little bit so I get a better view. I want to move this title down some. I don't want it sitting right there on top. So a couple different ways I could do this. The easiest way, since we are nesting these inside of that section, I can just put a padding on the section. So if I go back to our hero and I go back to our layout and our padding, the padding at the top, I can push that down. So maybe I want to use, let's see, 90 pixels of padding. And that looks great. I like the placement. I like where it is. But the problem is, notice my image has stretched down as soon as I did this. What you're seeing is that box model at work. So if I'm putting padding in, that means I got to take away from the height of this. So now I'm going to go up here to the height. And if I'm adding 90 pixels here, I got to subtract 90 pixels here. So this now becomes 310. And now I'm back to something perfect. If I want to change the text color of my hero image, I can click here. We can grab our slider. Maybe I want a nice, I don't know, something dark. Let's give it a try. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. And maybe this will be something for P. Let's go ahead and let's change that text as well. Easy thing is, you guys can always come back later and define this. So famous Utah drives, a slow drive through Sandstone Buttes. And I'm really liking it. Let's go ahead and save all. And again, you can preview, or I can just jump over to my live preview. And this is looking beautiful. So now we're going to push down and we're going to start doing the next area of this. We're going to put in our location section and float 2 more items. So let's go ahead and add a new section. So after this section, I want you to go ahead and click Insert, New Section. We are going to put this one after. And we are going to, let's go ahead and let's name this section. So this section was called Location. There we go. And we should probably go ahead. I think we're good. I don't think we're going to do anything else at the moment. Let's go ahead and add in our article and aside and then come back if we need to. All right, so in our location, we are going to go ahead and we are going to insert our article. So let's go ahead and let's click article. In this case, we are going to insert it. I wanted to put it within. So hold on, let's cancel. I'm going to click right inside of our section and I'm going to go ahead and put our article. Add insertion point. Am I going to use a class? I don't believe so. No class. So let's go ahead and hit OK. So I have my new article in there. Let's click after the article and let's go ahead and do our aside as well. Add insertion point, click OK. So now we have our new article and our new aside, and we can get rid of this content down here. We don't need this. So let's work on bringing in the content we're going to use. So for our article, I was going to do a header and a paragraph. So let's go ahead and let's do the header first. And for the H1 tag we're going to use inside my article here, let's go ahead and change this back. Whoops, I don't want an H2, I wanted an H1. So let's insert an H1, and I'm going to name this Valley of the Gods. I have multiple H1s, so let me delete one of them. I got too many H1s happening there. There we go. I am fixed. Valley of the Gods inside an H1. I am going to get rid of this. And let's go ahead and let's put in some paragraph text. So let me click up here at Valley of the Gods, hit enter, and let's go grab some text. So we are going to use Wikipedia for the text. The reason why I'm using Wikipedia is, 1, we're allowed to, it gives us good text. 2, it's pretty easy and there's a good amount here. So I'm going to copy this intro paragraph, go ahead and hit copy, and I'm going to paste that into that paragraph that I made right there. So I'm going to go ahead and paste, and there is my paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter again. I would also like to insert an image. For this image, I want it to be that other image I have. Actually, you know what? We're going to wait and we'll insert that image in a little bit. I'm going to make another H3. And I'm going to place this one after this H3. I'm going to call it overview. Hit enter. And I'm going to do one more paragraph. I'm going to get this other overview paragraph. That way I have 2 paragraphs of content because I think it just helps make it look a little full. So there, we have our 2 paragraphs of content. This is looking good. Now I want you to go into our aside, and inside of our aside, we are going to put an iframe. And in this iframe, we are going to put a Google map. So let's go ahead and delete the content there. And inside that aside, I want you to go to maps.google.com. I've already looked up Valley of the Gods. You can choose any of these little marks. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to choose this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit share. And on this share, I can go ahead and embed a map and copy the HTML, jump back to Dreamweaver and just paste the HTML. And now you're going to notice, let me save all. You're going to notice we have the map, we have some good text. Let's go to my live preview. Here's my text, here's my map, and all is looking good. So now we just need to kind of style this, get it perfect, and we're going to add an image. So for the style of this, first we need to put these side by side. So we'll float them next to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give them both a width, and we're going to float them. So first things first, for the article, let's create a new style, new selector, location, article. And for the width, for right now, let's just do 600. And we are going to float left. The map automatically moves up into place, but we need to float that one anyway. So I want you to hit the other aside. I want you to make a new selector. And again, let's go ahead and let's set our width. And let's go ahead and set our float. So there, they are floated side by side. We're going to work on some styling and make this really work. But for now, let's go ahead and let's keep going. See where it says content for new main tag? We're going to go ahead and delete that so we can get rid of that as well. As soon as I get rid of this, you're going to notice something's going to happen. Our white background will go away. So let me hit backspace. And notice our white background went away. What is happening here? We are having what is called box collapse. And what box collapse means is the background, both items are floated, so the box doesn't actually know how big it's supposed to be. I want this box to dynamically change based on the items floated, so I need to add something special. So at this last section, after the aside, I need to add in a div. So I'm going to insert div. I'm going to put it after tag, and I'm going to give it a class of clear fix. And I'm going to go ahead and say, okay. Didn't go in the right place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to move it down here after that section. I'm going to get rid of the content. And then we're going to make a style for clear fix. So I want you to go ahead and grab this. It's weird there. There we go. Grab this one and let's make a new style for clear fix. So go ahead and hit styles, new selector, clear fix. And for clear fix, we just need to tell it there is something there. So we can say display, and we can tell it to be a block. And we can give it a width or a margin of 0. And we want to clear both, And when we clear both, that is the one that actually makes it work. So now this is an invisible item. It has a height of 0, right? Is that what I did? Height of 0. And that invisible item will then stop our box from collapsing. So it's just an invisible div that we put there. Now, that's just a little hacker trick. Glad you know it. If you want things like this, I would normally put them up at the very top of our list underneath that reset, because you want to make sure it kind of works on everything. Now, let's style this up a little bit more. I want to go ahead and add some padding in here, and I just want to squeeze some items up. So let's add some padding around this. So easiest way to add padding, same way we did on this hero image, we're going to add padding. So I am going to grab that second section. That second section is called location, and I'm going to just add some padding to my location. So grab, we haven't made one for location, so make a new selector for location. Move it down to the correct area. Let's keep these in order. There we go. So for location, just go ahead, go to padding. We can link all of them together, and we can increase our padding probably to 20 or 30. Let's see what looks good. I really like 30 looks good. You'll notice our float moved down because these were both set to 600. We're going to have to shrink some items down, and I'll be honest, I want to shrink down that map a little bit. So let's go ahead and let's shrink down this map. So for the aside, let's take our width down. We probably have to go down 60. There you go, at least 40. Let's go down to let's go to 40. So at 540 it fits. We got to tell this map to shrink down to 540. So go ahead and click the map. And inside here, you look at the code, the width right here. Let's see, 540. That looks pretty good, but we're also going to do some space here. So maybe we'll take it down to 500. And then we can give this one a margin on the left. So for the aside, let's go ahead and we're going to make it 500 pixels wide. And then on the left side, we can give it a margin of 40. And that is your box model in action. So notice we have our H1, our H3, we have our iframe, and this is starting to look good. We can style our tag. So if I go to article for the H1, I can add a new selector. And I can go ahead and style this. So we can go to text. The fonts I've been using are the Gotham. We can give it a good size. It is H1, so maybe something like that. And we could do the same for the H3 tag. So come over here, click on that H3 tag, and again, give us a new selector for the H3. And again, we can define that font family. There are other ways we could define all these font families if we wanted, but this is an easy way to do it. Change the size, bump it up. That is looking really good. Very happy with it. Let's go ahead, let's save all. Let's look at our preview. We're looking very good. I would like a picture here. So we know the width of this is 600. So again, we can jump back to Photoshop and I can do this image. So instead of cropping it, I want to keep the same. We can say File, Export, Export As. And here we can actually change the width. I can say 600 by 350. And I can go ahead and hit Export. And again, we can call this Valley of the Gods. And we can go and we can insert this image inside of here. So if I wanted to, I have a P there, I could hit Enter, and we can go to Insert, Image, and we can, before, I think that's going to give me what I want. And let's go ahead and let's put Valley of the Gods. And there's our image, and it's looking really nice. Now, whenever you do images, you should always do an alt tag. So this would be photo of the Valley of the Gods, because you always want to keep those screen readers in mind. For our paragraphs here, we can also style those. Let's go to CSS Designer, add one more property. Whoops, not a property, sorry, add one more selector. And let's go ahead and let's define the font family for this text. In this case, we'll go back to that Baskerville, and I could modify sizes. I know you guys know how to do that. So let's go ahead and save, and let's take a look at our website. This is now starting to look really nice, really professional. We have this, we have our nice hero image, we have our text, and now it's time to just style the footer. So let's go ahead and let's add the footer. So the footer is going to be nice and simple. We're going to make a footer, and then we're just going to put a copyright statement, and we're going to finish it off. So to add the footer, we can click at the very bottom, or we can click on main, and we can say insert footer, and we want to do this after. So at the very end of the document, we now have our footer. Again, you guys should be pros at this. You know to go here, add a selector. You can just call it footer. You definitely want to give it the correct width. The width would be 1200. We can add a height on this one. I think I'd like to do 300. And I would like to give it a background color. The background color, I would like something similar, but darker. There we go. So now if we scroll down, we're starting to get it. Oh, we got to get it in the middle, but can't forget that. Go back to layout, set the margin for the left and right to auto. And so there's our footer. Again, we can do a padding for the footer as well, and I think I would. So let's go ahead, let's do them all together. Let's do that padding. And I think we liked 30. So on this one, since we're defining the full width, we have to take 60 off the width. So our width now becomes 1140. Those math concepts. And our height would actually be 240 if we wanted to keep it that 300. So there we go. We have our nice item here. We might want to add a padding down on the bottom of this box too, but we'll worry about that in a little bit. For our footer tag, let's go ahead and let's insert a paragraph. So our paragraph, we are going to go ahead and we are going to give credit to the Valley of the Gods. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. So I'm going to go text from Valley of the Gods by Wikipedia is licensed under, and oops, spell licensed correctly. So is licensed under CC by SA 4.0. And I just know this by heart because I've been working on this. So we're going to put a hyperlink on Valley of the Gods. So go ahead and select it, click link, hit enter. And now we have a link on that piece of text. I want you to set a target to blank. That way it goes to a new page. We are going to make a link just to Wikipedia. So go ahead and grab just the first section of that link. And again, we can link it right here. And again, I would like you to target it to a new web page. And finally, to make this comply, you should have a link to the CC by SA40. And that would be this link right here. So I would copy, go back, give it that link. Whoops. Select link. There we go. And again, I would like you to target that to a new blank. And this second line here, I want you to go ahead and put design by your name. And I want you to put this as your email address. So to do an email address, you go mail to, and then your email address. And that's it. Quick, easy. We've made the text in the footer. If we want to style our footer text, again, we hit this. I'm not going to do the A, so just the P's. And let's go ahead and let's give it, we can use our Gotham. We can make it smaller. There we go. There's my text design. Looks like I have an extra space. I'll get rid of that. If we wanted to, we could add a logo. We could add different things. If I wanted to fix this right here, I would probably just add an extra paragraph space at the end would be the easiest way to fix that. And let's go ahead and let's look. Our live preview. We have a beautiful website. We have buttons. We have a hero image. We have our Valley of the Gods. We have an image. And we have a nice footer. So yes, I know it's long. I know it's kind of arduous to get through it. But that is a connection between coding and Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver is here to make it easier because you can point and click and find different things. The DOM or document object model is very easy to help you select. So if you take your time, you could quickly and easily, once you get used to it, make a web page for yourself. So use these skills and good luck.